Good afternoon and welcome to the Hibs Observer afternoon briefing with myself, Patrick McPartlin, live from the Netherlands. In case you were in any doubt, there's a windmill behind me, and the bike that I've been using to get around is also in the background there. It's a quintessential Dutch picture. Um, and so the good news is that the weather has taken a turn for the worse. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but the temperature has dropped by like nearly 10 degrees, which after a couple of days in the sort of mid 30s is a welcome change, not just for us, but for the players as well, who have been enjoying a bit of downtime today after yesterday's friendly against MSV Duisburg. We're talking a bit about that in this video. We'll also be looking ahead to Saturday's game against Amsterdam before the team returns to Edinburgh to prepare for next Wednesday's friendly against Rotweiss Essen at Easter Road. So I think just looking at yesterday's game, I think a lot of people would have looked at the 0-0 scoreline and been a bit disappointed. But I think the important thing is to remember that these are essentially glorified kickabouts. The temperature was above 30 degrees for the entirety of the game. If you were watching the stream, you'll have seen how hot it was. You'll have heard Warren O'Hora talking on Hibs TV about how grateful he was for a little bit of cloud cover just to kind of take the heat down a little bit. Plenty of water breaks for the players as well, and only a handful of players actually playing the full 90 just to ensure that nobody was sort of doing too much in what I think we could call searing heat. So it has cooled down a bit today. It is a bit more manageable, but as you can see from the blue sky behind me and the sunshine, it is still glorious weather to be working hard in, because of course that is what we are doing over here as we bring you the latest from the club's pre-season training camp. I think other things to do with yesterday's friendly. It's a chance for young players to impress. We saw several getting a chance in the second half. We saw some starting: Jacob McIntyre, Lewis Gilly. Also, a couple of the players to play the full 90 minutes, and I think they held their own quite well. I think it's such a big step up from the under 18s to the first team, and I think you look at the likes of Logan Jimenez coming in. Has maybe not had that much exposure to the first team. I think been a bit of a shock to him, just the change in intensity. This is a player who is very good and very strong at the under 18 level, but the good thing about the club having participation in the under 19s league next year, is essentially the under 18 team staying together for another year, just allows them to kind of further bridge that gap. Somebody like Jacob McIntyre, he spent time on loan with Celtic Hearts last season. He's had more exposure to senior SPFL football, and so might not have been as much of a shock for him. In terms of the players who missed out, there were, I think, up to 10 first team players who didn't play any part in the game. We know Joe Newell and Rudy Milotnikov are still sort of completing their return to fitness from their respective injuries, and players who were on international duty towards the end of May and the start of June were also left out of yesterday's game, just because they're not quite at the level they need to be at, having returned to pre-season slightly later than their colleagues who weren't involved in international duty. But at the same time, and it sounds like a contradiction in terms, because they were playing football more recently than their teammates, it does mean that they won't need as much to get up to speed. So it really is just all about managing players' return to regular game time and more science. These days, hopefully you've had a chance to read Liam Bryce's interview with Tommy Scanlon, the head of performance at the club, which we published last week. Gives you a little insight into what the club are doing and how they sort of manage players, how they manage individuals, how it differs, things like that. So if you haven't read that, do go to hibsobserver.co.uk and give that a little read, because I think it's a really fascinating insight into something that we don't hear an awful lot about. So yeah, you should be able to find that on the website. Put another link out to it again on social media later on today, just so you can keep an eye out for that and click onto it for your afternoon reading. So I think, again, as I said, can't say too much from a 0-0 draw in sort of very hot temperatures against a useful German side. Duisburg winning promotion from the fourth tier to the third tier. They won their division last season, and they'll be competing in the 3 Liga next year. So the same league as Rotweiss Essen, coincidentally, who, as we know, are coming to Edinburgh next week for that 150th anniversary friendly in midweek. So all that's left now really is for the players to they're having a bit of a downtime today. They'll be back at it tomorrow. We know there's the open training session for fans, but they're going to be hard at it on Friday, and then obviously the game on Saturday against Ajax is going to be sort of another test. I think a significant step up from the likes of Duisburg, but really useful for Hibs to be facing different types of teams, different calibers of teams, European teams, before they go into the Europa League qualifiers against McPartlin later this month. So I think, Gray and the players won't be putting too much, about the performances. It won't be really about the scoreline. It's really just about, it's a chance to practice things. It's a chance to get minutes and legs and just, really kind of see where the players are at this point in pre-season. We spoke to David Gray earlier today, discussed a lot of things, spoke to him about Nectar Triantis. We spoke to him about the returns of Rocky Bashiri and Junior Hoylett and the ongoing search for striking reinforcements, among other things. You will be able to see 2 articles on our website later today, or they might already be up there, depending on when you watch this. But, some interesting stuff he had to say about Nectar Triantis and some words of praise for Rocky and Junior. He talked a lot about getting the band back together, how important it was to keep those players here who'd sort of played such a big role in last season's success, and in bringing Rocky and Junior back. That's sort of 2 of those boxes ticked. So do keep an eye on the website for those. Keep an eye on social media. We will be putting out a little bit on social media, so you can see where those articles are up and you can read them. From my point of view, all that's left really now for me to do is to go back and do some more writing. I spoke to Jack Iredale today, and that's an exclusive interview you'll be able to read on the Hibs Observer website in the coming days as well. Really good to speak to someone who had a really standout year for the club. Maybe not so much a heralded signing when he arrived on deadline day last year, but when he forced his way into the team, became a mainstay, and I think became a really important part of the starting 11, and a big reason why the club finished where they did, striking up a really good relationship at the back with Rocky Bashiri and Warren O'Hora or Lewis Miller, and also linking up really well on that left side with both Nicky Cadden and Jordan Obita. So do keep an eye on that. That will be coming soon. We do have plenty more coverage from this camp to bring you. We have been very fortunate being able to speak to a number of players. I mean, the mood in the camp is sort of really positive. We know how good that team spirit is in the squad, and that's really sort of carried on into this training camp. There's been a lot of hard work, but I think from speaking to the players, they're very glad to be back so soon and just sort of preparing for a European campaign. There's an awful lot of players in that dressing room who haven't tasted Europe yet, and they're going to be getting their first sample of it this season, and I think that's something that a lot of them are very much looking forward to. Going to wrap up here for now, though. It is starting to get a little bit windy. I'm getting funny looks from the cows in this field, and also from the people going past on their bikes, who you might have seen in the background. So thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. It helps us to keep bringing you videos like this. It helps me to keep standing in fields in the middle of the Netherlands. It really is beautiful here, and it's really good to be following the club on their pre-season training camp and bringing you the latest updates. So do, if you can, £1 for 6 months to subscribe to the Hibs Observer. Really appreciate all your support and your comments, and spreading the word for us. So again, thank you, and we'll be back soon with another update from the Netherlands. Cheers.